Welcome back. You are watching the Oasis Focus and Finance show, and we've reached the last segment. So it's only appropriate that we chat to the executives at Oasis, the chairperson, Mr. Mohammed Shaheen Ibrahim, the deputy chairperson, Mr. Nazim Ibrahim, and of course the CEO, Mr. Nazim Ibrahim. Gentlemen, assalamu alaikum, and welcome to the show, sadly the last of this very special Ramadan series.
Wa alaikum salam, Shafiq.
Wa alaikum salam.
Wa alaikum salam.
Shaheen, let's start off with you. Oasis has taken on this amana, the special trust of providing an ethical alternative to investors, not only on the local scale in South Africa, but also internationally as well, and that certainly is significant. So does this talk to us in terms of a sense of commitment and of course working towards a greater objective? What's your comment to this?
Shafiq, very important question. The word amana. Amana is trust. But let's build on that. We've also developed around that trust, using modern terminology, an ecosystem that speaks and focuses on what we as Muslims hold very dear to our heart. And that is to look at everything we do and take guidance from Sharia and more importantly the Quran. So we've developed a system around the Crescent Range to satisfy the needs of Muslims, not only in South Africa, but globally. Taking it one step further, when one does business or you exercise your responsibility as a Muslim, very importantly, there's a social responsibility. And what's flowed from this responsibility is just our bursary program, one of the initiatives that Oasis has embarked on. At this point in time, we have 40 young people on our bursary program across the different disciplines, from the medicine to engineering, all the way to economics, which is very dear to our heart. Hopefully, when they leave and qualify as professionals, they know where their home is. And, you know, just building on that concept, they would then enter the working world debt-free, which is a cornerstone of what we always try and inculcate on all of our customers and everyone we touch throughout our life, and that is to be debt-free.
Shaheen, during the show we've spoken to a number of your wealth managers who've introduced us to the wide range of products that Oasis has on offer. But what influences and motivates you in product development and design?
Some 19 years ago, our CEO, Nazim Ibrahim, being one of the first chartered financial analysts, came and spoke to the family with one very important mission, and that was to introduce a style and an offering to satisfy and protect and grow the wealth of people. And in his offering, he also took it one step further to say there's a constituency that had been denied for many, many decades. And he has a solution, and that is to look at the Sharia and see how he can build product to satisfy and look after people's hard-earned savings. And around that, we built a series of products. We started by launching the Crescent Fund, our flagship fund, some 19 years ago. And based on the Crescent Fund, we then rolled out many more building blocks to get to what we have today is a diversified product offering focused on satisfying the needs across all of our customers' life staging and risk profiling. Our most recent product launches were the Hajj and Umrah policies and also the tax-free saving product.
Nazim, to get to you, Oasis operates in a global environment. You've got a global footprint, which tells us that there could be different regulations in different environments. How does Oasis meet this particular challenge?
Shafiq, thank you. You know, when we started right up front, something like 19 years ago, we had to ensure that we had the P's in place. And the P's are very important. The philosophy, which we haven't changed in that period, and we've stuck to that. The processes, and I'm not going to deal with all the P's, right? The philosophy, the process, and the people. Now, when one comes to the people, you have to choose the right people with the right frames of mind, with the right attitude, okay, and the right knowledge base. So with Oasis, we have chosen the right people, okay. We have a great understanding of compliance, regulation, and the environment. So our people are schooled both in European law, South African law. So wherever Oasis does business, we as a global wealth management company can provide the services to our company by being involved in the regulatory bodies, understanding the regulation, and therefore holding the company to the different policies and ensuring that we are compliant from a global perspective.
Now, Nazim, to get to the local perspective, the South African landscape, the South African environment, we've seen a number of regulation changes, particularly with regards to the rights of clients. Tell us more about that particular aspect.
I think since before the financial crisis, and more so with the financial crisis, we've had a very important piece of legislation come not only to South Africa, but to most of the developed world, called treating your customers fairly. That has been around for some time now, but it is an ongoing process, and one must be able to evidence every day that you are treating your customers fairly. Together with that, we've also gone through a process called the SAM process to ensure that insurance companies have the correct liquidity. But right now, Shafiq, there are two areas that we are concentrating on, which is very, very important to the financial landscape. In the past, we had two regulators, okay? The Reserve Bank being one regulator, and the Financial Services Board. Now, with two pieces of legislation that has just been in discussion now, the Financial Markets Act and the Financial Sector Regulation Bill, it's still a bill being discussed, okay, we will then move to a prudential regulator and a market conduct regulator. All of this is happening at this particular point in time, and as I said to you earlier, you need the people, and our people are engaged daily with regard to what is going to be happening when these pieces of legislation is finally promulgated and how that will be put into effect. Then, most importantly, that affects the customer, the man in the street, is the Retail Distribution Review, called RDR. Now, we are going to be going through a very, very thorough process with regard to RDR. That's going to affect business models, it's going to affect double charging, overcharging, layering of charging, all of those kinds of things are going to be in the spotlight. And pretty soon we go into 6 different working groups, and I think it will take about 2 years before the final legislation hits the ordinary man in the street, but it will be very, very positive towards them.
Adam, let's get to you. During the show, we've discussed the local economy, the global economy. We've had a look at the impact on the consumer. We've looked at the good. There has been some bad, but we've come up with a lot of good. How do you see all of this? I mean, how would you wrap up everything that we've been discussing?
Shafiq, as a result of the financial crisis, the global financial crisis, and as a response to it, governments and central banks flooded the world with money, cheap money, very low interest rates globally, at 0 interest rates in many countries. And many countries, government expenditure exceeded government revenue. So they borrowed and kept borrowing, but that was at very, very low cost. In that environment, what it did was it kept weak countries like Greece, weak companies, and weak managers actually prospering in that environment. You know, that is not sustainable, where you are eating from debt. And so as things normalize and as the flood of money recedes, it's like the wave going out and you see who swims naked. As that wave goes out, the flood of money, and secondly, as governments try and balance their books, they're not paying off their debt, but just as they start balancing their books, things normalize. And now you're starting to see, over the last 18 months, you've seen something like Able, African Bank, unsustainable business, the wave is out, and you find that it's an unsustainable business model. So now you see Greece really struggling to, it's balancing its books almost, but it's got this huge mountain of debt that has to pay interest, and it's got to be dealt with. And thirdly, you're going to see fund managers and index trackers who actually have done very well in this very highly inflated environment. Those companies and those managers will recede. At Oasis, our focus has been to buy great companies with strong management who invest through the cycle with good cash flow, with huge competitive advantages, and we tend to buy that relatively cheaply. Those are exactly the companies that will prosper in all times. So maybe they've lagged a little behind because the Greeces and the African banks went ahead, but now those things are falling by the side. And so we think that our investment philosophy of creating and protecting the real wealth of our clients is a cornerstone to our development and the way we see the world. And so we think that it's going to be tough. It's going to be an environment that we're going to prosper in because of our philosophy. Nazim spoke about that, the way we go about doing things and the way we run our business. I think this is the time for Oasis.
And Adam, the final question for you in this particular series, I'm giving you a green crystal ball with an O in the middle of it. The future for Oasis.
The future is exactly what an Oasis is: bright, safe, with a lot of a lot of growth, a lot of protection. And so the name depicts who we are, what we are, and how we see the world. And within the framework of being very humble and making sure that we remember the Almighty, we follow His rules. And so as this tide recedes, Islamic finance has been really at the forefront. It will differentiate. Greece will never happen in Islamic finance. Able will never happen in Islamic finance. So we've operate in the best sector that we possibly can operate in. We have the best group of people that we can possibly have. We have a fantastic investment philosophy, and our focus now is to just reinforce our doing what we do: great performance, great administration, great service, and making sure we deliver on our promise of meeting and protecting the wealth and then growing it. And then we need to get and grow our client base and get closer to them. So the future is really exciting. The future is bright. The future is global. The Muslim Ummah is one. And by the way, we don't limit ourselves only to Muslims, because Islam is for all people and Islamic finance is for all people. So we welcome everybody who wants to participate. And we, inshallah, will do our very best to deliver sustainable, great returns and look after our clients' money like we look after our own.
Thank you for that, Adam. And gentlemen, we're coming to the end of the special Ramadan series, but of course to the very special holy month. And I think it's a very appropriate time for all of you to make a quick special message to the viewers and maybe even to your families. And I'm going to start off with Mr. Nazim Ibrahim, who's the chairperson of the group.
Shafiq, thank you very much. Yes, we're in the last few days of this wonderful month, Ramadan. It's just refocused us. We, as all Muslims, we get up every morning, we have our suhoor, we perform our daily tasks, and more so as South Africans, I think we really have to be proud of the way in which we operate during the month of Ramadan. It's still life as usual, and we come home and we have our iftar with our families, again, reuniting those bonds. And that's what this month just gets us to refocus on. So I wish all the Muslims around the world the very best for the months ahead, and a wonderful Eid on the day of Eid, and a prosperous year ahead.
Nazim Ibrahim, the Deputy Chairperson, your special message.
To all the Muslims out there in the world, we are going through trying times. We should be strong, and we should listen to the message of the Quran. And the message of the Quran would be our salvation out of all the trials and tribulations that are out there. And I think we should listen very, very, very carefully. Maybe we haven't been listening that carefully. Maybe there's a lesson that we should all listen and listen very carefully and put that into practice. And I'd like to speak for myself first. I'd like to listen very carefully. So to all my brothers and sisters, Muslims, everybody, the entire Ummah, I wish you Eid Mubarak. And I hope that you have a fantastic day. We will miss Ramadan.
Mr. Nazim Ibrahim, CEO, for the crowning statement of the show as well. Thank you.
Ramadan is coming to a close, but I'd like to reiterate what Nazim's mentioned and what Shane's mentioned. I think as Muslims and as a Ummah, if we can concentrate and focus completely on what are the things that we have in common, what are the things that bind us, and stop minimizing the things that differentiates us and keeps us divided. So we spend 99.99% of the time on the things that bind us. What binds us? Our love for the Almighty, our love for the Quran, our focus on Salah, our focus on Zakah and Sadaqah, and fasting the month of Ramadan, and making sure we go on Umrah and Hajj. Those are the things, and that we love. You know, we say our brothers and sisters, really mean it, and not do the form of brothers and sisters and hugging, and then we just walk away and we forget about it. Focus, because we're most probably in the most difficult period in history. There have been difficult periods in history. Never before in the history of our Ummah has so many people in such a diverse area. As far west as Nigeria and as far east as Pakistan, we've, kids not going to school, not eating, mothers and old people not having shelter, people not being able to pray. So in this Ramadan, I've mentioned many, many things. Let's also focus on our love for our beloved Prophet, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and follow his sunnah. And I think to all of us, we've had a fantastic Ramadan, and we've got up in the morning. We've actually been very privileged in South Africa. The days have been short, and we'll be privileged when the days are long, and we'll enjoy both long and short days. But it's been fantastic to meet everybody every evening for Tarawih amongst others, and enjoy the rest of it, the rest of the month of Ramadan. And to you and your families, we wish you everything of the best for Eid. Have a joyous time, and Eid Mubarak to all Muslims, and to my dearest family, my mother, my brothers, my sister, my daughters, my nephews and nieces, my sister-in-laws, and everybody in our family and everybody in our community. Eid Mubarak. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
And gentlemen, shukran. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, Shafiq.
And a special thanks to the Oasis directors. We've come to the end of today's show, and of course the special Ramadan series. Thank you for welcoming us into your homes during this blessed and holy month of Ramadan. We trust you enjoyed the show and watch the space for future developments in financial programming. From myself, Shafiq Morton, and the team, to you and yours, Eid Mubarak inshallah. And until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.